Pandemonium Reigns.
Hello, 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 and welcome to Pandemonium Reigns. We're so excited that you're with us. I don't know what I'm singing.
It's beautiful, though.
Oh, thank you. Hey, we got a slate this weekend. I'm Dan, he's Mike. We're ready to talk about the slate. Welcome to Pandemonium Reigns. We got some stuff. It's week 12 in the college football world. Golly. You guys better get ready for Thanksgiving because that's next week, right?
Yeah, right.
What you guys doing for Thanksgiving? Traveling? Staying home? Doing drugs?
Yeah. A little bit of everything, you know.
Yes,
except for that last part.
Oh, yeah. I'll have some sweet potato casserole and a line of meth, please.
Sort of, yeah, exactly.
Hey, let's jump right into the conversation. Let's just kind of go through the slate here. Your Mustangs are playing on a Thursday night. I don't know if you saw that or not.
Yeah. How about that?
Traveling to Tulane, but I'm not interested, so we're going to move on. There's a noon game before I get to the other noon game I want to talk about. Illinois at Michigan. I'm just curious to see how Illinois can hold up. You know, they ran really well. If they can play keep away from Michigan, and I know that line is sitting at 18, and that it's in and it's sitting or in the game is in Ann Arbor. But if Illinois can continue to find yards on the ground, is that good enough to keep it close or possibly pull an upset? I mean,
I absolutely think so. It's such a big if because, you know, for one, we know that the talent gap is big, sure. But it really hasn't prevented Illinois from, you know, for the most part of the year, finding a lot of success on the ground, playing really good defense for that matter. It's just, will the talent gap prevent them from being able to do that in the big house? I mean, look at those points allowed per game defensively, 12.5 for Illinois, 11.2 for Michigan. I don't think they get enough recognition right there.
Yeah.
But this is what's going to be so fascinating about this game. Illinois currently allows 85.9 yards rushing per game. Michigan allows 72.7, which is both, again, a little bit indicative of their schedule. But again, what a ridiculous number that is. Even with the pass yards allowed per game, they're less than a yard different, both teams.
Yeah.
And, you know, both teams have played a Big Ten schedule outside of whatever they played in the non-con, which, again, for Michigan was kind of disappointing. But if Illinois can control the ball and the time possession, I mean, absolutely. They play like it's seemingly the same game.
Yeah, sure. Isn't it crazy to know that we're in week 12? Michigan is in their second to last game, and they're getting ready to play one of their tougher games against Illinois.
That is an ugly statement.
Very
ugly statement.
What a narrative we would have had going into the season had we had known that, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Needless to say, I'll take Michigan to win, and I'm going to say Michigan only wins by 17. I'm going to say they don't
17.
cover. Yeah, I'm going to say they don't cover.
I'm going to say they don't cover as well on the chance that Illinois rush defense shows up with what they've done all year. I don't think they face a rushing attack like Michigan, but again, if they're able to bring the good of what they have done, I think that keeps this a lower scoring game. I don't know if they can stay under 40.5 because that's where it's at. I think it'll hit the over, but I do think Illinois will cover with Michigan winning.
Agreed. We're going to move our conversation to Fox at noon, TCU at Baylor. Fully expect for Fox's viewership to go up at this time on Saturday because people should be, if they're fans of the sport, be paying attention to this TCU game. They got 2 games left. They're going to finish with Baylor and then Iowa State. Baylor's got a better chance in my mind than Iowa State does.
Yeah.
This spread is only, where did it go?
2.5.
Only at 2.5. Say what you want to about Baylor. They've got David Aranda. I like that guy. The dude can coach. ESPN FBI has got TCU only winning this at 51%. Again, 2.5 spread. I think Vegas sees something there.
Yeah.
How do I say this nicely? Go Bears.
Go Bears. Basically, with that 2.5, I mean, you're basically just picking who you're going to think is going to win outright. Yeah, absolutely. TCU could win by 1 to 2 points. And if I bet the game and I bet Baylor, that's absolutely what would happen. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to bet this game because there again, I had zero trust in Texas by a touchdown last week. Just zero trust in that when Vegas had that. I don't, I think there's capability for TCU to absolutely win this game in a big way. But the Baylor defense is actually statistically better in every category, even though it's close, than TCU's defense. And the offense is not far off of what TCU does statistically. So the recipe's there. How special is this TCU run? Can they keep the magic going? I mean, at this point, I assume that they can because they've been through a pretty big gauntlet to this point, a very strong schedule. So far, yeah, they've won some close games. If it came down to it, I expect them to do it again. So I'll say TCU does win, and they probably cover because it's so close.
Right. Agreed. I'm going to say TCU wins and TCU covers, but I am going to say it's a little bit more of a dogfight because that's just what they've done all year, for the most part. They get down, they come back. But I think Baylor's going to be scrappy in this one. Look for Baylor to want to mess up something, and that be the motivating factor for a win there. Are we interested in what's going on in the bottom of the East Division with Florida and Vanderbilt? Are we interested?
No, I'm not.
Okay, Florida's at Neyland West, so here's to hoping both teams find a way to lose. Hey, I wanna highlight this very, very quickly and just talk about this for a second because as you scroll down the schedule, you get to Indiana and Michigan State.
Yeah.
And I sent you something. I said we got to talk about this.
Yes, you did.
On the back of the Michigan State helmet, they're wearing a sticker with the number 8 on it and with the word tunnel written over this number 8. And it's because they want to remember those 8 brave souls who were suspended as a result of the great injustice that occurred in that Michigan tunnel. Please tell me that they are not talking about Spartans players and they're talking about Wolverine players. But if they're talking about Wolverine players, that don't match up because there was only one. So are you joking me?
They use the word injustice in that.
This is what that tweets, or this is what the tweet says. Michigan State fans would like to remember those 8 brave souls who were suspended as a result of the great injustice that occurred in that Michigan tunnel. #Tunnel8.
Did we get catfished, or is this real?
Well, it's posted by Saturday Tradition, which is the Big Ten's version of Saturday Down South. So I'm going to say no. I don't think this is a catfish. I don't think this is a joke. This looked like it's straight off SpartanTailgate.com or something of that mind. I'm at a loss for words. I mean,
Me too.
That looks legitimate. I will be flipping over to this game just to find out if this is real because
if that's real,
shame on you.
If that's real, shame on them. I was a little too lenient on placing some blame on the Michigan players that kind of skip, hop, and jumped into the tunnel at the same time, or kind of rubbed it in a little bit with the Spartans. They could have said the most egregious things that you can say to someone, could have belittled them. There's just no excuse for ganging up on them. Like I said, they probably invited it on themselves a little more than I was, willing to say at first, but there's just no excuse for bashing someone with a helmet or, ganging up on them. There's no way you can use the word injustice in this situation, even as stupid as the event was that happened. So miss me with this. I'll be flipping to see if it's real. Kind of hope we're getting catfish because that's a big stretch that they're going with right there.
If this is legitimate, shame on Mel Tucker because he has to see that and go, no.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to come out and we're going to apologize and we're going to say this is not how we want to represent Spartan Nation, stuff like that. This is this is not who we want to be. So no, delete that Twitter, delete that, throw those stickers away. We're going to have a bonfire. Yeah. We're going to throw those stickers away. That's egregious. Terrible.
Yeah.
You know what else is terrible? Will Levis. He's terrible.
Will Levis is the worst. Confirmed. Very much confirmed.
And he's going to be going against the Georgia defense. Who, I know that we just mentioned this on the Orange Cast. Georgia's allowing 11 points per game. And how do I say this? If Will Levis does what he did against Vanderbilt, might be time to pull that scholarship.
Yeah, like you want to go ahead and like early enter the NFL draft, like get on out of here, like top things. I mean, it's time for that conversation to be had. Frankly, he's proven they, and also they're 6-4 with a couple games left against Georgia and Louisville, so they're probably staring at 7-6, or I'm sorry, 7-5. They're probably staring directly at 7-5. Best case scenario, there's totally a chance that they lose to Louisville. There's more than a little chance that they do that. So they're looking at outside of 6-6 as well. In this game, I mean, there's nothing that Will Levis can do to this Georgia defense, in my opinion. I mean, he's just not been good all year. I don't even care, like, maybe he's still feeling some pain in the finger or whatever got roughed up, maybe against Ole Miss, but there's no excuse for the ball that he's playing right now. It's terrible, from completion percentage to turnovers, just every which way you wrap it, holding on to the ball too long at times. So I don't know if you want to, start working on your guy after Will Levis against this Georgia defense, because that could probably, make their eyes about the size of the Pacific Ocean. But maybe throw some freaking triple option stuff in there with, Tavion Robinson or one of those special young receivers. Do something, because just throwing your offense out there with Will Levis is not going to cut it. You're not going to cover. You're probably not going to score.
It's not working.
No.
So I want to ask you. So they just lost to Vanderbilt. Let's say they get, absolute slapped around by Georgia, which is probably going to happen.
Yeah.
The spread's sitting at 22. I see no reason why this can't be something like what we did to them. 45-7, 52-10, something along those lines. If that happens, what is the national media narrative on Mark Stoops, or sorry, the perception on him? What is your perception on Mark Stoops? What do we? I mean, because in my mind it's changing, and it's changing fast.
Yes, it absolutely changed fast.
So you can't lose to Vanderbilt the way that you did. You can't lose to them for one. You can't lose them the way that you did. Your first overall pick quarterback cannot play the way that he did. Have we been wrong about Mark Stoops, or is he a product of his environment there in Lexington, and that ceiling being as, for lack of better words, as low as it is?
It is definitely a combination of those things. The ceiling is 10 wins, because that's what he's done. That's where he took the ceiling to, because I didn't think it was that high at Kentucky of 10 wins. But my perception that, nothing will change my mind from this is he has waited too long to leave, unless he just is dead set on ending his career as a Wildcat. Because like you said, it's changing quickly. They've never, in any recent years, they've never had a quarterback like as highly hopped as Will Levis. They haven't had that hop for anyone. So he's waited too long. They have blown their shot with even developing a guy like Will Levis, who needs a lot of development. And again, I just think he's waited too long, unless he wants to finish up his career as a Wildcat. One of the great indicators of this is his contract escalators. That's the word. His contract escalators, where he gets a raise and an extra year on his contract just for winning 7 games, where in today's world, you're fired if you just win 7 games. But at Kentucky, it's celebrated with an added year to your contract and a raise. So, sure, if you want to finish up your career doing that, having a ceiling of 10 wins when you have that special combination of talent across the board, which they just don't have this year, then stay. But if you had hopes of parlaying this into a type of stepping stone situation, you've missed your shot.
Ouch. Should he be considering this Nebraska job? Should he throw his name in for the Auburn mix? Based off this Kentucky ceiling conversation?
He should have already, to me, at this point, whereas earlier in the year or after last year, if I'm Nebraska, I'm elated if I got him after last year.
Oh, yeah.
Or if I'm Auburn and I got him after last year. But at this point, man, I'm already he's just going to have to prove it to me if that's where we go, because I just don't think he could do it at this point. Again, Kentucky is a unique place where you just have to have that, perfect storm of talent across the board, especially in the trenches where they're so lacking on offense this year on the offensive line. But, even with that, they've got 4 and 5 star guys. They actually have a 5-star offensive lineman on that roster. It's like, how can you not develop that guy?
Yeah. And there's an argument to be said that Nebraska football is a better job than Kentucky football. Yes, Kentucky, it's not going to come with all the pressures that do the other jobs in this conference. They've made it known that they're a basketball school, but at the same time, Nebraska just gave a terrible Scott Frost 5 years.
Yeah.
5 years.
5 years.
So, and fans pack that one out regardless.
They do.
Whether you're 10-2, 12-0, or 2-10, they're showing up. They've sold that thing, sold Lincoln Memorial Stadium out every game since JFK.
Yeah.
Right.
They're going to do that, and they're going to give you a chance. They're going to believe, but I sure don't want to go down that road right now if I'm a Nebraska fan, where I'm already looking at, man, we're just going to do this again in 3 or 5 years, however long we give this guy. Do I think Stoops could coach a program like that, or Auburn? Absolutely. But he's quickly fallen off, in my opinion, because of the same issues, frankly.
And I think, you know what? I did not agree with you coming out of last year. You were like, Will Levis is his success is based off Wan'Dale Robinson, and he's not good without these guys. And I did not agree. I was like, I still think this guy's a good quarterback. I'm going to say that I stand corrected, man. He's missing Wan'Dale real bad. So, man, you nailed that one. Hey, we're moving down the conference slate, or sorry, the football slate here, and Miami is going to be at Clemson, and we just compared Kentucky and Nebraska.
Yeah.
In my mind, Miami is a worse job than both of those.
Absolutely, it is, because we talked about what they've done selling out Lincoln Memorial Stadium for Nebraska. We talked about last week the environment at Auburn. And then how crazy that was. And then Kentucky, where those expectations aren't there, and they've kind of fallen off and been tapered off at Miami. The expectations are definitely not what they used to be. But who wants to coach at that place when the stadium looks like it looks? I mean, it looks like a spring game in like a blizzard. Like, that's the level of attendance that they get at normal regular season football games. That's terrible.
Yeah. It's not good. Hey, I think we forgot to give a prediction for this Georgia-Kentucky thing. We'll think we moved on too quick. I'm going to say Georgia wins and does more than cover.
They're going to shut them out. 45-0 minimum is the best case for Kentucky.
And if that happens, sorry, I don't mean to backtrack here in the episode, but if that happens, is he on the hot seat? I mean, really?
It needs to it needs to heat up a little bit. And like you said, they've come out as a basketball school. They're okay with it. I would never be okay with that, but it needs to heat up a little bit. Show some respect and not be okay with the same old, same old. If your ceiling is increasing, at this point with it falling off, and you've got all these guys that you're so proud of having and you've recruited well for Kentucky, why not see if you can push that ceiling a little higher?
Because my thought is, because my thought is, you're talking about 2 years in a row now where you should have landed second in the division, and you're not.
Yep.
So and two back. I mean, remember that? You remember going into that Georgia Kentucky game last year? Man, there was hype around that, and Georgia just came in and said, "I don't know what the hype is here," and just slapped them around. And if that happens again in Lexington, which going into this year. Again, all the hype around Will Levis. I mean, they're raving about him eating a banana with the pill still on it and all this crap. And people who are not successful don't get that attention. So the media was in love with Kentucky. They were like, "Oh, second division." I mean, this is a chance for them to go to Atlanta, and womp womp. Nope. So I don't know. I think there should be. I'm not saying he should be on the hot seat, but I do think his name should start appearing more in that topic of conversation. So
absolutely.
Miami at Clemson. Clemson is at home. Spread is at 19. Man, I don't think this deserves a lot of conversation.
It sure doesn't.
I think Clemson can do something nasty to Miami. But you know what? As wrong as I've been on the year, watch Miami turn around and win this game. I mean,
go ahead and secure bowl eligibility. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm with you. We've been wrong, and we're going to be wrong a lot. But that spread being at 19, I'll say 24-3. They just cover. Clemson covers. They're not impressive, and it just is kind of ho hum what you might expect for this game.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Clemson covers as well. We went into this year saying DJ's not good, right? He's struggling. Here comes Tyler Van Dyke. He's doing better. And just to compare, there's no comparison.
Yeah.
DJ, 2,100 yards, 19 scores, 5 picks. Tyler Van Dyke, even though he's battled some injuries, 1,700 yards, 10 scores, 4 picks. Give me Clemson. Yeah. Give me Clemson big. Texas and Kansas. Absolutely. Texas and Kansas. It's at Kansas. Vegas likes the Longhorns here by 9. My question on this one is, how does Texas bounce back? And what Texas shows up? Because we are getting to the point in year 2, because Auburn is proving that you should fire your coach in the middle of the season. And it doesn't matter if it's year 2 or not. And I'm not saying that Steve Sarkisian is there, but he's headed there. And people are going to disagree with me on that. But tell me what he's done.
Yeah. I mean,
tell me what he's seriously, tell me what you've done.
Close game with Alabama. Woo!
Yeah. Woo. I mean, you had an embarrassing loss to Oklahoma last year where you should have won that. I mean, and you didn't learn your lesson for the rest of the year. You only got worse.
Yeah.
And okay, you beat Oklahoma this year. Well, so has everybody else, right? You almost beat Alabama. Woo! Well, it turns out Alabama's not good on the road.
Yeah.
Okay.
True that.
I mean, what else have you done? Iowa State win, lost to Oklahoma State, beat Kansas State. You beat a good Kansas State by 7. Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
You lost to Texas Tech.
Ugh.
You allowed UTSA to put 20 on you.
Ugh.
I mean, I'm just saying, and people, I've mentioned this to multiple people, and they think I'm crazy, but the proof is in the pudding. What have you done?
Yeah.
So, anyway, Texas, Kansas. Give me a score prediction. Give me what you think.
This is very, like, you're just to hammer home what you're saying, and not to beat a dead horse, but this is so important again, because I do actually get stuck on a lot of times the conversation of being back, because we want nothing more than for Tennessee to be back. So I think in order for Texas to work towards getting back, you've got to make a statement against a team in Kansas that is at 6-4, surpassed all expectations for that program. You're favored by 9, which feels a little steep, because I agree with some of the things you're saying about what have you done. And I think we highlighted it. Kansas State is a good win. That's probably what you're hanging your hat on, and that you just did to Oklahoma whatever you wanted. But I think you need to make a statement. You need to win by 2 touchdowns plus in this game. I will give them – I can't give them the benefit of the doubt doing that. I think Kansas covers, but I think Texas wins a very high-scoring game. Or excuse me, actually a little bit lower scoring game than you would think. I don't think it hits that over of 63.5 when I think about that Texas defensive line last week and what they were able to do with that TCU offense. I think it actually is a little bit lower scoring game, but I do think Texas wins but does not cover.
Because of Sarkisian's inability to bounce back last year after Oklahoma, he just continued last year to let Oklahoma beat him week after week after week.
Yep.
You've yet to prove to me that you can bounce back mentally. Kansas wins outright.
I respect that completely. I hope it's not the case, but I respect it.
Sure. Hey, you're a betting man. You're right there on the Tennessee line, so you are allowed to do that in the state of Tennessee. If you do not put money on Western Kentucky and Auburn, I'm going to come there and slap you, because that spread is at 5.5.
Oh, 5.5.
It's begging.
Okay.
It's begging to be bet on. It's begging
sure
to be
is.
better. In my mind, I mean, is
No, you're
Western
absolutely
Kentucky
correct.
anything? Are they anything? Because say what you want to about Auburn, but if I am a Group 5 school, I don't want to play them right now.
No.
Their roster is better than yours. Maybe not by much. They
Sure.
might not be very good, but man, they're playing inspired. Cadillac Williams has these players excited to be at Auburn.
He really does.
I'm taking the over on that taking Auburn to do more than cover on that.
And I'm just over here making some cringy faces because I'm looking at and I understand Western Kentucky's schedule, but I'm looking at the statistical comparisons, and they are better than Auburn at everything. Mind you, again, that they haven't played the schedule that Auburn's played. But yeah, that does really intrigue me. I will probably try to throw some money on that one if I make it back across state lines into the great state of Tennessee. But I also, I'm right there with you. Would not want to play Auburn right now if I was playing meaningful football and had stuff on the line. If I'm Alabama, and I know that they host them, wouldn't be looking forward to it necessarily because of how weird that rivalry gets and how hard they're playing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they should still do what they want to do with Western Kentucky if they play it with their hair on fire like they have.
Yeah, and Western Kentucky throws it, and they throw it really well. This dude's got 3,500 yards, 31 touchdowns, and 7 picks. But that crowd's going to be that crowd will play a factor.
It sure will,
because Auburn needs this to get to 5 wins. And they will obviously need another win against Bama to get bowl eligibility. But I'm telling you, I know the last game is in Tuscaloosa against Bama. Last home game for Auburn.
Yeah.
Some of the Auburn fan base wants Carnell Williams as their head coach. The crowd's gonna be wild.
Yeah, it will.
Absolutely wild. Let's move on down. I think I gave mine. I said Auburn covers. Does more than cover.
No, I'll take Auburn by 2 touchdowns in that game.
Okay, good. Ole Miss is at Arkansas. And Vegas likes Mississippi. The Rebels, the Black Bears, the Sharks, the Colonels, the Kentucky Fried Chickens at 2.5.
Wow. That's basically just home field advantage.
Yeah.
Or no.
I was like, wait a second. Wait. Yeah. I mean, this is in Fayetteville.
Wow.
And Arkansas can grab, bowl eligibility right here.
Yeah.
Look for that crowd to be wild. Looks like KJ Jefferson's going to play, if I'm seeing this right on the Twitters.
Yeah.
How does Ole Miss bounce back?
Yeah, and I would, just to jump in on that, I'd feel good about their bounce back because of what we talked about, or I think we talked about in Lane's responses of we didn't come here, we're not hanging our hats on a close loss or a statistical success in a loss. I would feel good about the Ole Miss bounce back. It's interesting because Arkansas does defend the run better than they do the pass. Their pass defense is pretty bad. And Ole Miss has flipped their game from almost, being throwing it around the yard, doing those things last year into a massive run game this year. So what's going to give this game being on the road? I find this insane. Matchup predictor, 67.9% in favor of Ole Miss. It just feels a little strong for me, this being a road game, this being KJ Jefferson, who we, when he's on, if he's healthy, we really like. And we know they have some pieces, and they've also underachieved at times this year. So very interesting game. What are your thoughts on it?
Man, there are intangible variables here that are really affecting this game. You and I really respect Josh Pate. And I was telling you earlier yesterday that Josh Pate is reporting that, hey, there's serious weight to the conversation between Auburn and Lane Kiffin.
Yeah.
And again, we live in a social media world. Coaches can tell players all they want to, get off Twitter, get off social media, don't pay attention to that stuff. They're on it. They're on their phones in the locker room. They're on their phones. They're on it. I mean, like never before. So you can't tell me that they haven't heard about this. The 70, the 80 of them, not one of them has heard about this. Yeah. Oh, but coaches, the coaches are going to squash that. They're going to say, "Oh, I'm not interested." Yada yada yada. Oh yeah, so did Nick Saban when he was with the Dolphins, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
right.
so did Tom Herman when he made the switch from from Houston to Texas. Oh, I'm not going. they're going to say whatever they have to say to hold them to their job until they get the other one. So
Exactly.
look for Ole Miss. I'm going to say look for Ole Miss to wet the bed.
I would be worried about that as well. It's almost, if Lane is having those conversations with Auburn, if he is really, really, really involved there, then is he going to be still concerned with how Ole Miss finishes? Because they have a great chance again at 10 wins. I mean, they're going to play this game in the Egg Bowl. They're more than capable of winning both those games, winning 10 games again, and again playing in, like a New Year's Six top bowl. I mean, they're more than capable of making that if they're all bought in. And I'm with you, coming off a loss, Lane's name getting tossed around. I just think that's going to be really tough, especially looking at the way Arkansas played LSU last week, I believe, without KJ Jefferson. So it's hard for me not to lean towards Arkansas to, I'm going to say win this game outright because of all of the factors. If it was maybe half or less of those factors, then sure, I'd probably lean with Ole Miss based on what they've done, but I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. Apparently, coaching staff has tried to be in conversation with Malik Hornsby about making a permanent position change as well. Will he be stubborn? Will he make that adjustment? Because he's got serious potential at the next level to play something other than quarterback.
Yeah.
If KJ Jefferson plays this game, I don't see how it's not the Razorbacks. And I think Ole Miss is stupid talented,
Yeah.
Well, Ole Miss shows up. Hey, we got about 8 minutes. We got 2 more games, so let's wrap this thing up. Bedlam, Oklahoma State at Oklahoma. And the only reason I want to mention this is because Oklahoma, Vegas likes Oklahoma at 7.5. And I think what that means is no Spencer Sanders for Oklahoma State, right?
Probably so. I would say so, yeah.
So give it to me. What do you think? What do you think happens?
All right, here's what I think happens. I made a prediction on last week as we closed last week's podcast out that Oklahoma is not going bowling, and I'm sticking to it. Here's the reasons why. Because Ole Miss, good God. Oklahoma is having their worst year since the late 90s. Oklahoma State's losses are to a surging Kansas or, a Kansas that's been way better than we thought, getting blown out by Kansas State, I believe, without Spencer Sanders, and then losing to TCU, who they had beat, but losing to them in 2 overtimes. Those are not bad losses, whereas you flip over to Oklahoma's losses, and they are ugly.
Yeah.
I'm going to ride with the Cowboys. Mike Gundy, I'm sticking to my guns on Oklahoma not making a bowl. 60 over under 66. I'm going to say just under, but I'm going to say that Oklahoma State wins outright.
I told you one of my favorite things to do is to go search names inside of Twitter, and it's amazing what you can find. Here's a tweet by a beat writer for Oklahoma State. Spencer Sanders wants it clear. He is playing in Bedlam next weekend.
All right.
He asked Spencer Sanders if he thought about shutting it down this season. Spencer responded with, "I'm too competitive for that." Bleep.
Okay. Point taken.
Give me the Cowboys to win outright. Give me the Cowboys. Give me Mike Gundy saying, "You want to go to the SEC? We're going to send you off." Give me the Cowboys something like 52-17.
Woo.
Oklahoma's bad. They're just bad.
They're bad.
They're bad. Hey, a big one that could potentially, and here's how we're going to end the show, could impact the college football playoff, which we should be talking about Utah and Oregon as well, but Oregon eliminated themselves, which is funny because even though that game is in Austin Stadium, Vegas has Utah as 2-point favorites.
Yeah.
But USC at UCLA, Los Angeles, the LA Bowl, kicking off at 8 p.m., Pac-12 at dark, USC at 2.5, Caleb Williams, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Bruins, Trojans. What you got? I feel like I just channeled my inner Gus Johnson right there, by the way.
What you got?
What you got?
Beautifully done.
Thank you.
I'm going to be an optimistic Vol fan at heart here and pick UCLA to win this game outright. I think that run game, and they're not traveling, so it's not going to make a lot of sense the way I word it, but run game travels well. I think that will give USC's very suspect defense. Not that UCLA's suspect defense is a suspect. I think that will give USC's defense that is quite suspect a lot of trouble. The run game, the mobility of DTR, give me the Bruins to open that door wide for Tennessee to get into the playoff with just one team left needed to get out of their way.
Well, my first question is that's great. I do love that. I have a lot of agreements there. But my first question is Jordan Addison back for this? Because didn't he get banged up last week or the week before? I was seeing if I couldn't find anything on this real quick, and I'm just not seeing anything, which makes me think that whatever his status was previously, it just probably hasn't changed. Here we go. This was on November 10th. Wideout Jordan Addison is expected to return from injury on Friday against Colorado, Lincoln Riley said. But did he not get banged up again in that Colorado game? I don't think he finished that game, if I remember right. It's so hard to pay attention to way out west.
Yes, it is.
Man, USC, golly, man. There's so much talent and potential on that roster, but DTR is just deadly.
He sure is.
And he made some remarks. I wish I would have found this before going into the podcast, going into this season, about what he wants to do to USC and how much he hates those guys and stuff like that. And another name that's not getting enough credit for the Bruins is Zach Charbonnet, that Michigan transfer who's at 1,100 yards rushing on the year. They just run, and they run well, as you're pointing out. The ESPN FBI doesn't like the Bruins here. It likes the Trojans. So, yeah, you picked UCLA to win outright?
Yep, outright. Man,
that over-under is so high.
Yeah, it is.
76.5.
Goodness gracious.
Give me – my mind says UCLA, but for some reason my heart says Trojans. Trojans probably feel like they're playing for something. There's a slim chance for them to still get into the playoff. They need some stuff to happen. I don't like it, but give me the Trojans. Give me the Trojans to cover. And I will take, just simply because I said, watch out for Texas and TCU. Man, they're going to break the scoreboard. I will take the under on this 76.5 because that is so dang high.
So astronomical.
So high. I do hope that this game is still on once Tennessee is done, because I'm really interested in this one. Picking the Trojans, but I'm rooting for the Bruins. Would love for Lincoln Riley and Williams and those guys just to take one on the face and
me too,
and get knocked out of the playoff conversation just altogether. So mine says Bruins, heart says for whatever reason says Trojans, so I'll take the Trojans. I know that was a really confusing prediction.
Nope, you're good.
All over the place. And just because this is not the Orange Cast and people are maybe wondering, let's go ahead and give it for the Tennessee-South Carolina game. You want to?
Absolutely.
Let's do it. Tennessee-South Carolina in 90 seconds here or less. Vegas likes Tennessee at 21.5 in Columbia, South Carolina. Give it to me, buddy.
Tennessee 63, South Carolina 18.
I'm done. My gosh, after living in Charleston, South Carolina for 5 years, dear God, let it be.
Yes.
I don't want to hear game Cox. I don't want to hear it.
No.
I'm gonna take Tennessee. I'm gonna take Tennessee to do more than cover.
Absolutely.
I think it's more than 21.5. If it's 21.5 or less, then South Carolina's fighting.
Yeah.
But anyway, hey, that's all for today's show. Wherever it has found you, whether you're in your drive to work, from work, lunch break, wherever you are, maybe you're walking with us, maybe you're
Pandemonium
I don't know what you're doing. Maybe you're doing something illegal. Thanks for bringing Pandemonium Reigns along with you. Appreciate you having us. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you tell your friends about Pandemonium Reigns. He's Mike. I'm Dan. We love you. God bless. And we're all.
Pandemonium Reigns.